do you ever fear with having more year-round availability of sport-specific work about burnout?
Uh, I mean, I think majority of the kids will eventually, for sure, have burnout. So I do fear it. I mean, a good point is back in Nashville. I think we started helmets like May 28th, like 2 days. I think like maybe the second week in June or something like that.
So I mean, legitimately, your padded practice season is 3 times longer than your football season.
Yeah. So like, I mean, week 5, it's like feels like it's week 12, and so I mean, I remember all the coaches we were talking about what can we change this next year, blah blah blah, and I was like, well, I think if anything, we could maybe give them a couple weeks off just because I think it's imperative that you have to have that time off. They're not obsessed with it like we are. Okay, I think they have to have that time off in order to be excited to come back to play football. I think you have to. I remember as a kid, like, you go to each sport, basketball, football, baseball. And so, all that kind of comes, back in that circle. And when you've been away from football because you've done your other two sports, you're excited for that. You're excited to go smell the trashed out bin where all the shoulder pads are at just because you haven't been able to smell that and be able to put a pad on in the last 6 months. To whereas, like, if you have a 3-week break and you're a high school kid, it kind of sucks. You kind of have to fake it till you make it at that point, and then you're having to just to push for effort, and it's makes it tough.
Hope and pray that 2 weeks from now I'll actually still like to be here.
Yeah, yeah, man, it's tough. So yeah, I mean, I do fear for that. I mean, I think a lot of coaches nowadays almost just assume that every kid they go home and they're like thinking about, you know, is it duo or is it, you know, inside zone with same side, kick out. They're not doing that.
No.
No, they're doing anime or whatever the hell it is. I don't know what it is, but they're doing all that stuff. Like it's not that.
Yeah, they're not going home thinking about how many different ways can we run split zone. They're
Yeah,
literally doing anything and everything else.
yeah,
And that it's something that, I'm in a place that fortunately these kids are brainwashed when they're in first grade that like, no, you will love football and you will love it in everything that you do. Your breakfast
yeah,
will be football, everything will be football. But I have legitimate fears, especially about this time as we really are in the deep part of track
yeah.
season, getting ready for a district track meet. There's a lot of opportunities for our guys to do extra stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I know personally I've pulled the reins back on that solely because you hear the things about like LSU a couple years ago when they did the receivers had to catch like 10,000 balls in the summer,
Yeah,
right? Which is great, that is at the collegiate level, but if you put those kind of hard parameters, of like there's a difference in saying, hey, you guys need to make sure that you're doing extra, working on some technique stuff,
yeah.
versus, hey, you need to catch 1,000 balls a day,
Right.
right? What's that
Yeah,
kid gonna hate to do come, Cinco de Mayo? He's
yeah,
gonna hate catching the football.
yeah,
So, let's make sure that it's a balance of using this time wisely, getting better, perfecting our craft, but keeping in mind that they are kids and they do play for the fun of the game to a certain extent. We have a lot of guys in our program that they're great kids. They work their tail off, but the biggest reason they're here is because they get to hang out with their boys.
mm-hmm.
They get to work out with their boys. They get to have class with their boys.
Yeah,
They get to be with their buddies, and that's a huge part of it. The expectation is different at the collegiate level, and it's like you brought up that first week is like, we got to make sure that just because we can spend 70 hours a week with them
yeah.
doesn't mean that we have to,
Right.
because it is a game and this is still kind of the purest form of that.
Yeah,
So let's make sure that we're balancing things to maintain that purity.
yeah. I mean, and to go back to your point with the kids at Salina and the kids at Lipscomb Academy, they're good kids, and so like they're not ever going to try to show up and be like, Coach, man, I don't want to be here. They're truly going to fake it. And so it's hard for you as a coach to be like, man, I can't really tell here because they're going to be here 100%. And that's where I think it's hard, kind of depending upon the demographic you're in. It's like, you know, to whereas some of the schools I've been to in the past, it's like they're going to tell you, straight up, Coach, we are here way too much. I ain't coming tomorrow. you got a decision to make now. And so it's different.
So put me in a program that deals with that. What's your response to a kid when he says that?
I mean, I think it's always figuring out the why. Like, okay, why is he saying that? I mean, you have to always reflect upon your program and think like, and I think I mess it up a lot, but okay, well, what is it like going through his shoes right now? Especially when you're in programs like that with kids like that, they got a lot of things going on. I mean, they're trying to figure out, where they're going to eat, every night and stuff like that. So it's different. I think you got to find out why he said that. Maybe it's something deeper and he's just acting out because he wants to actually talk to you. I don't know. I mean, I've had those situations and they've always been different. Or maybe he's just that guy that wants to speak out. Every team has that too. So I think it's finding out the why, pulling him aside. It's always funny when you pull those guys aside individually, and it's like, whoa, what happened to that character that was just out there in front of all your friends? Why did you get quiet all of a sudden? So pull him aside, talk to him, figure out what's going on, and then from there make your decision.
For sure, I think that it's something that a lot of different groups approach a lot of different ways, and we've said it multiple times on here. It's, there's 1,000 ways to do this thing. There's 1,000 ways to run offense, 1,000 ways to run defense, 1,000 ways to run a program. And they can all be successful, right? And kids are going to have different reasons for why they would speak out and say those type of things. And like you said, the vast majority of the time it's not directly correlated to I literally don't want to be here.
Right.
It's usually I don't want to be here right now, and there's a reason that I'm trying to get you to ask me about, right? Because the kid's never going to – how often does a 17-year-old walk up and go, hey, coach, I'd really like to talk to you something that's deep and personal?
Yeah, he'd be a psychopath.